So you want to go to Ireland, but you don't know how much it'll cost. In this video, I'm going to go over all the costs of this beautiful country and give you an idea of how much you might spend on your trip. All prices in this video will be listed in US dollars, but keep in mind that the Republic of Ireland is not part of the UK, so they use euros as their main currency. Northern Ireland, however, is part of the UK and uses British pounds instead. Ireland is a beautiful country with stunning grassy fields, important historical landmarks, and enough beer to keep you entertained for your entire stay. Starting off with flights, I've chosen round trips from a random 14-day time period 5 months into the future as a baseline for these prices. The website I use for all of my flights is called skyscanner.com. It gives you the prices for all airlines and shows you the best and cheapest dates to go on your trip. These flights I've selected will all be from September 1st to 15th, 2023, and will all land in Dublin International Airport in the capital of Ireland. If you're visiting Ireland from America, coming from LAX will cost you around $600. From Chicago, Illinois, $650. From JFK in New York, $700. From Miami, Florida, $1,000 for whatever reason. Maybe just a bad time to go, I'm not sure. From outside the US, a flight from Rome or other local European countries will cost you around $150. Very, very cheap. However, if you want to fly from a much further country, it's going to cost you significantly more. From Hong Kong, China is around $1,000. From Sao Paulo, Brazil is about $1,200. And a round-trip flight all the way from Melbourne, Australia will rack you up a bill of around $1,700. I actually met one guy on my trip from Australia, and he paid around that same exact price, actually. My flights from Boise to California to Dublin and back costed me around $800 total, since I bought pretty far in advance. Once you land in Dublin, you will immediately need a place to stay. So moving on to accommodations, you'll have plenty of options based on how much you can afford to pay and how unique you want your stay to be. Prices will obviously vary heavily based on what city you're looking to stay in and how close to the city center you would like to be. If you're traveling on a budget like me, you're probably wanting to stay in a hostel. I stayed in 5 different hostels on my trip, ranging anywhere from $20 to $50 per night. In most cities, you can pretty easily find a simple hostel in the city center for around $25 per night if you book in advance. The first hostel of my trip was only $20 per night, but my last hostel in the same city was $55 per night because I decided to book the room the same day of. In other cities like Galway and Cork, I paid $30 per night on average. If hostels aren't your style and you need more privacy or you just have some extra cash to spend, you can book a hotel room instead. Simple rooms can be as low as $50 if you book well in advance, but if you show up to a city and try to book a room the day of, you're going to be spending around twice that price, if you can even find an available room. That was definitely a struggle for me. That's why I ended up paying over $230 for 4 nights when I booked last minute. Hotel rooms can cost you upwards of a few hundred per night if you're considering living in luxury during your stay. Another option would be to look into Airbnbs. Ireland has an incredible selection of unique Airbnb houses to stay in for the right price. Tree houses, hobbit huts, cabins, glamping, and even private castles. Anything you want, it's there. These are obviously going to cost you much more than hotels or hostels, but will guarantee a super unique stay that will make all of your friends jealous. However, if you want to live like royalty and stay in a private Irish castle for a few days, be ready to spend anywhere from $200 to even upwards of $1,000 per night. Now that you've booked your private castle, you'll probably need some means of transportation around the country. By far the best way, in my opinion, to travel around Ireland is by public bus. Tickets are only a few dollars and are incredibly accessible, especially around all of the main cities in Ireland. My 2-hour bus ride from Dublin to Galway only costed me $20. I took a ton of buses on my trip and I legitimately enjoyed them every single time. A more private alternative to buses would be to take an Uber or taxi. but I would definitely not recommend this based on what happened to me. I booked an Uber from my hostel in Dublin to the airport and was told by my app that it would only cost $20, but after the Uber ride, I saw that the Uber driver charged my card for $45 without even needing my permission to change the price halfway through. Although Ireland is one of the safest countries in the world, people who want to scam you and take your money will always exist, so be very cautious. One other way to get around Ireland is simply by walking. It's free, it gives you exercise, and you have more time to look around and really appreciate the beauty of the country. My hostels were all very centralized in the cities they were in, so I spent a very large portion of my time walking around the streets and exploring the cities more in depth, even miles per day. I also noticed that by the end of the trip, all the walking that I did had conditioned me and gave me more stamina to even explore farther. I even climbed a mountain for the first time. Highly recommended. Now that the boring stuff is out of the way, let's get to the fun stuff. Next up is activities and excursions. So flat out, most day trips in Ireland are going to be between $100 to $200 with some exceptions. I was on a very strict budget, so after doing lots of research, I want to share some of my money-saving tips with you guys. My first day in Dublin, I booked a 10-hour day trip with Wild Rover Tours to see sheep herding dogs, Glendalough, Wicklow, and Kilkenny. This trip was only $45 and was an absolute blast. If you want to do any day trips out of Dublin, I highly suggest booking with the company Wild Rover Tours. A day trip from Galway to see Dungaree Castle, the Portal Tomb, the Wild Atlantic Way, and the Cliffs of Moher costed me only around $50. Well worth it, as the Cliffs of Moher are likely the most beautiful place I've ever been. Many companies offer the same trips and excursions, so do yourself a favor and choose the one for the cheapest price. There are thousands of castles throughout Ireland, and only some of the bigger ones require an entrance fee, usually only a few dollars. Some of them even give you a guide and will walk you around to show you everything and give you more information. Other things to do for a low cost include walking tours, pub crawls, live music, and even museums. And you can often find a group to go with or book one with your hostel. Walking tours are very informational, pub crawls are very exciting, live music is a great way to experience Irish culture, and museums are the best way to learn about the history of Ireland. Just keep in mind that when I say bar crawls or pub crawls are free, I mean it's free to go on them. You still have to pay for your drinks, obviously, unless you have somebody buying you your drinks. Even though you aren't staying at a particular hostel, some of them may allow you to join in on pub crawls or book excursions through their front desk. This was actually how I was able to book my day trip to the Cliffs of Moher from Galway. Lastly, let's go over the prices of food. So this one was a bit weird because it varies so drastically based on what you're trying to buy and from where. Most of my meals were from small corner shops and convenience stores, so I wasn't often paying more than $5 for a sandwich, meat pie, or something similar. If you're on a budget like me, this is definitely the way to go. Not the most luxury, but it saved me a ton of money from eating out for every single meal. Most hostels also have kitchens accessible, so buying groceries and cooking for yourself is a very solid idea. And honestly, very satisfying and fun. I personally really enjoy cooking, and getting to do that in another country is strangely fun. In Galway, I was able to buy myself 2 pieces of salmon from the grocery store and a small jug of milk for only $6 total. Some of the grocery stores around Ireland, especially the ones in the city centers, have really, really good sales on certain things. That's how I was able to find such cheap salmon that was already seasoned, and I got to bring it home and cook it myself. Going out to eat at a casual restaurant such as a burger place or something similar will cost you around $12 to $15 for a meal per person. At a burger shop in Dublin called Four Friends, I paid $20 for a burger, fries, and a drink, while at a small kebab shop in the same city, I only paid $6 for the same amount of food. Both places were great, by the way. Super friendly workers as well. In Kilkenny, just outside the main castle, I paid $7 for a bowl of clam chowder. A latte from a small coffee shop in Cork costed me $4. A large Mexican burrito from Boojum in Cork costed $12. At most airports, they offer a meal deal that includes a sandwich, chips, and a drink for around $7 total, and man, I had a lot of these. A triple cheeseburger from McDonald's in Dublin was $5. And lastly, the price of a beer will cost you anywhere from $4 to $10 depending on the beer and the establishment that you buy it from. I've noticed that most of the beer I bought from various places tended to be around $7 on average. They will be much cheaper if you buy them in a pack or from a grocery store, obviously, but most of my experience buying them was either from a restaurant or the 1 or 2 times that I went to a bar. If you're willing to spend the money, you can get some absolutely delicious food from a more upscale place. Looking at menus in many different places around Dublin, it seems that $20 per person should be enough for a pretty decent meal. Or if you want to go even fancier, you can always find steakhouses and classier spots for around $30 to $50 per person. Another very big thing in both Ireland and even Scotland is whiskey. Everybody knows about Irish whiskey and how big that is. There are tons and tons of whiskey bars around Ireland. I didn't actually go to one, but it was something that I considered, although I couldn't pay for it. So overall, going to Ireland, you will spend a decent amount of money, but you will absolutely have the time of your life. Anywhere in Europe isn't going to be the cheapest place to visit, so make sure you have a bit of money saved up unless you're willing to live super cheap like I did. And throughout the time that I was there, living super cheap, I still spent a pretty large chunk of money. But I think that's going to bring this to the end of the video. I hope you guys like this, and I hope you found some info helpful. Leave a comment and let me know what you're excited to see in Ireland, or if you have any other questions. I read all my comments and I love hearing from you guys. So thank you all so much for watching, get out there and explore, and catch you next time. Peace.